check.
Check.
I'm on Do Not
Yeah,
Disturb.
I'm always on silent.
Don't talk to me.
And leading to us the 2025 Troopers.
Right. So, Tim, what was in your head when we went to picking what the show was?
Well, for me, what was in my head was I'm tired of seeing the trooper in the show. So, truthfully, we've always had the trooper at the end of the show for the last 4 years, and it's like, can we put this to bed at some point? So the question that I asked myself is, how do you kill the trooper? And how do you do it in such a way that it pays homage to all of the troopers, but yet sets us up to move to the next chapter? And that's kind of where it all came from.
I was gonna say, a cool thing for me that was coming in, I got hired after the show was picked. So I kind of had a different perspective on it, which I think has been cool. As far as me, it's this classic tale of the hero's last ride, you know what I mean? So I think that's been fun. I think it's been good with us working together on your perspective of the concept and mine kind of meeting. And I think it's made it a really cool genesis of ideas.
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the design team all the way around. I mean, everybody's done a really good job at making this really work. And, it's hard. This show is really difficult to, come up with all the ideas, but on top of that, how do you present that to somebody? How do you show them that this person, this character that we've grown to love for 4 years, this person is now going away, so to speak. I mean, they're not going away. The troopers aren't going anywhere. But how do we do this? And how do we convey that? And what's cool is all the ideas that have been bounced around since Vegas. When we all got together, and all those ideas. I mean, it really does show it. And we're not even done, and you can still see the story already.
Absolutely. Well, I think the music for me is like really the driving force behind the emotion in the show. The staging too, of course, but but I think that the music is so easy to connect with. How did you arrive like what you guys wanted to play this year?
Well, the show itself, like all the last 4 shows, there's been, when we first got here, I really wanted to do Knocking on Heaven's Door. I thought that was a really cool tune. And it goes all the way back to Lauren and I sitting in the back of the bus commiserating about what this drum corps could be. And we were nobody then. I was a brass caption head. Lauren was a percussion caption head. And we're like, yeah, we can do this. And everybody said, no, we're not doing that. But we came up with that. And the first year we did that. So we had all these ideas and things, and we just institute them. So it's been a single tune, and this year's tune was and then the second tune that I picked in my mind was Mahler's Resurrection, and that fit. So I had the back end of the show musically, and then I had to figure out the rest of the show, and I kind of knew that I wanted to do the ballad that we're doing, which is Many Mothers. But I didn't quite know. There was a couple tunes, and I forget what the other tune was, but we went back and forth a little bit.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but we settled on this, and it's the right choice.
So I think it was really once we picked the second tune, the opener,
Yeah.
then we're like, oh, totally, that's the third,
Yeah.
that's the right ballad.
Absolutely.
After
Right, yeah.
that gets finishes.
And I can't remember what that was. It's terrible to forget that.
I think one of the original ideas we talked about was Wish You Were Here. That was the original.
we
original.
did
And then
talk.
we
That
went
was
through a
Wish
couple-
You Were Here.
Yeah.
And then nobody could figure out how to make that work.
Right. But I think we landed on the right choice for sure.
Yeah. Many Mothers is beautiful.
Yeah.
We just finished it tonight. It's complete. It's ready to be
It's
seen.
totally done, yeah. Locked in.
I think the music really drives the emotion behind the trooper's journey, its life, the trooper's life, and where it was and where it went, and all the memories. Can you talk a little about how some of those tunes relate to the emotions and what the trooper's feeling over time?
Yeah, honestly, this might be sharing a little too much, but all the shows have kind of mirrored my personality and where I'm at in that current stage of life, and this one really does. I said it to the drum majors the other day. I'm 51. I'm an anomaly in the activity. There's very few people like me that are here all the time at my age, and I'm not old by any stretch, but I'm,
Age is but a number.
Yeah. So, but
mind.
I kind of feel the same thing, and it's yeah. You watch Maverick, the movie Maverick, and in those scenes where the young fighter pilots, they can't get through the thing that they're trying to do, and yet here comes Tom Cruise and the old guy and does it the old way, and it works, and
And knew what it could mean.
yeah,
Right.
and that's really all it is, and all of these things all these shows have been very personal to me, and so that's the mirror of it. Now the specific of this show is that we start off, it's kind of present day, funeral for a friend. He knows that the end is close. He knows that, and then the next tune just is the viralness, I guess, is, if that's the right word, of the guy just tearing across the desert on their horse, and just the youth and the power and presence of that person. And then we get to the ballad, we're back to present day, and he can't come to terms with it's over. He just doesn't have it anymore. He's still the hero. You still want to talk to him, and then we go back to the gunfight right after that. Original music by Justin Shelton and Paul Rennick and Sandy Rennick, and then you see him in his element. He remembers that, and then we have the death at Mahler's resurrection, and we finally put our hero to rest. So that's kind of the genesis and the overarch, I guess, the arc of the story. But I really do feel like it mirrors my own life, kind of.
What I just love, it's so relatable beyond that too. Like some of my favorite movies, Logan. It's the same, even though it's not
What I think of.
that's the same thing. It's the same thing. Endgame, with Iron Man, True Grit, and not quite as literal, but basically it's the same storyline. And I think it's just so universal. And anytime a drum corps can take a great story, customize it to their identity, and make it relatable, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I mean, you made me watch Logan. I had never seen it. I had not seen it, and Andy's like, "You got to watch Logan. It's really good."
It's the show.
I've been
It
telling
is its own
the
version.
Percussion
Yeah, it is.
that it's that.
Yeah.
I just think of the movie Wolverine.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
Chris.
I'll watch it right after this.
You need to.
I'm renting it tonight.
You need to leave.
Deadpool kind of ruined it a little bit.
I think personally for me, especially after the music and whatnot, and the way that Andy has staged the show, I'm really excited for the color guard to be featured wonderfully. I'm wondering though, Andy, if there are any imagery or like Easter eggs or anything in your drill that you're like really motivated by putting.
There is. I try to I don't want to be super literal with like pictures in the show.
Right.
But there are little Easter eggs that kind of tip the hat to the previous shows. And I'm not going to say what they are because I think it's kind of fun to find them. But each show has a connection point that from this kind of storyline that this troupe is going through to now. But really, the biggest thing with the staging is I just want to have a great drum corps show. And, obviously show the concept, but composition, content, giving the guard exposure, giving everybody their moments, the battery, everybody, I think that's the most important thing because kids are doing this to do drum corps because it's a unique activity. There's nothing at the scale of drum corps in any other part of this activity, and with the level of execution. So just setting up those events for every section, I think, has been a really fun challenge. Absolutely. And the membership's awesome.
Yeah.
Coming in, this is my first year. I wrote a long time ago, but my first year back, I mean this in the best way possible. I was surprised at the highest level with the quality of the performers. They're going to be really good.
So we would be remiss to not say how awesome Molly has done at designing the aesthetics of the show. I mean, the flag design, the set design,
the scale of the
color
set design,
yeah,
and
it's
the whole thing.
unbelievable.
Absolutely. It's coming out awesome. I know one of the highlights for me in this show is we are doing a gun ensemble, full gun on the field, during an awesome percussion feature as well. Lauren, is there anything about the percussion this year that you want to talk about, or any highlights for you?
I mean, this is my 12th season with the Corps, and to have seen what they started with in 13, which was your first year here, and our first year. To look back to what that was, where we were not cutting anybody, and when they came in the door, it was making the group. To now, I think just every year they're able to step another foot forward and push what we're able to do as an ensemble But I think talking about Easter eggs and that movement in particular, there's definitely some very tasteful and sneaky moments that if you know the shows from the last few years, you'll recognize some motifs that kind of sneak their way in there. And I think for the kids, they like recognizing those and understanding, because a lot of those students weren't maybe in the group yet. They had been auditioning. And so to get to play some of those callbacks to some of the years, I think is really exciting for them.
And I got to say, to get to write an original tune with the Renix, it's pretty awesome for me. And that's, I think, something I want to highlight too, is that process has been really cool. They've been very open to letting me write with them and ahead of them and behind them and weave our writing together. And I think it's going to end up being a really cool product because it's very connected.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think the staging already is just like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Get plenty of reads on the percussion.
Well, the very beginning of the show, I mean, the percussion that's happening there, I mean, in reality, you wrote the drill to that, and it's really not, it's antithesis to what was originally written by Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they wrote something different from that, and you wrote something different, and then it all melded together, and when you watch it, it's seamless.
Yeah, so it was really cool. So Justin wrote a track. I wrote drill to a track after talking to Paul. Then Paul called me. He's like, well, I'm going to write the parts now. He's like, but what if I take the battery in 3/4 against the horn line in 4/4? I said, I'll figure it out. Sounds cool. Let's do it. And we made it work. So then I went back and kind of redid the battery based on what Paul and Sandy did. And it ended up being, I think, a really cool length of phrase development that you don't see in the percussive world that often anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's very textural, leading to a really bombastic moment, but the development's pretty intellectual, but cool at the same time.
Overall, percussion and brass and everything is very intellectual. It's very musical. It's not as in your face as it's been, and that's what I like.
It has its moments, but
still have our-
yeah, still the moments. But there's a lot more nuance.
Right.
But I think what's cool about how we open this year is we're showcasing a different skill too, about how it layers in one player at a time and having to show those listening skills in some pretty demanding forms that I think they're handling really
And section
well.
to section too.
Section to section.
Lots of
some
handing
huge
off.
spreads,
Yeah.
but they make it seem easy.
Yep.
Well, they're
Knock
pretty
on
good.
wood.
They're pretty good. Let's be honest, they're pretty good.
Pretty good.
We're working it out.
Andy is the visual designer. What are your thoughts and feelings on the everything you've seen from the visual team since you've gotten here and started working with them?
It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, but the work the color guard staff was doing, I know some, but most I didn't know. And the visual staff, I know most of the guys, but they were a new connection point for me. It's all the guys that had been at the cadets before they folded, and I've looked up to what those guys did there, especially. What they built in a couple years was pretty outstanding. So that's who I really wanted to work with, and it ended up working out, and we got all those guys that we wanted. So the whole thing is awesome. I couldn't be happier with the team we have. They're great educators. We're marching our butts off. The movement thing's really strong. The color guard's really coordinated and connected. So I don't want to sound like I'm like over the top happy, but I am. It's good, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, the truth is too, a lot of teams nowadays have moved to the staging idea and the producing idea, and we are actually moving away from that. We're kind of going back to a little bit more drill.
Both.
Yeah, there's both there, but we're a pretty heavy drill in movement too.
Drill will set you free. It's what makes our activity unique. What makes our activity unique is drill, marching, playing, coordination of elements within the movement of all that stuff, and then texturing it and laying it with production and vertical moments of deconstruction of ideas and all this stuff. But if you don't have drill, you're not doing drum corps, in my opinion.
Right.
So how do we get more drill in movement too?
No, we can't. I don't think you want it. They don't want it.
So I think we're in a really good spot comparatively from where we've been in the past. You know, we've got most of the show on now. I think we're moving quite a bit better. I think the talent's quite a bit stronger. I think the brass sounds great. The color guard's looking great. You know, I think overall we've done a really good job from the design side of things and from the education side of things and from the planning side of things, that we've set the drum corps up in a really good spot. I mean, you're coming in blind, but I mean, how does this compare for you?
It's a strong drum corps.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is when you look at it, people are like, well, how do you think you're going to do? I'm like, I think we're going to be better. And that's not a knock on previous anything. That's the goal of this activity is every year you do everything better. It might be that much better, it might be that much better, but if you can improve everything every year, you're in a good spot. And I strongly feel that we're in a good spot to do that. I think we're already on our way. So I feel good about it.
Yeah, I don't want to sound trite about it, but you know, I just,
Well, that's,
you know, we are better. We are better than we've been.
and I think a lot of it is, you know, rising to the occasion. I think they've been given something they have to be better to do. You know, what they're being asked to do, they have to improve quickly just to exist in what the show is. And they're doing it very well. They're beyond existing, they're achieving. Still lots to do, but I feel real good about it.
Yeah, I do have to say, I give a shout out to the brass staff. You know, the book is very hard for them, and they came up with a new way of approaching the off season, and the kids moved in way more prepared than they've ever been.
Yeah.
So I have to give them a lot of credit for how they've set that up. So it's really good, and having the drill done super early helps them to know where count structures are. And you know, you guys did choreography early, so you know the color guard moved in with an idea of what the choreography is.
I think it was done April 1st,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
It's really strong. I mean, we're going to be done by December next year.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
I thought it was next week.
Well, we we have to announce the show next week, and then we can start.
Oh, that's what I thought the plan was.
So, Lauren, what are your goals of the Troopers this year?
I mean, specifically, it should be the first year that I feel like every element has come to the table completely prepared, and I think maxing out what we're able to do and being totally committed to the same goal, which is being the best version of the Troopers. Sounds a little cheesy, but it truly feels that way this year coming in, and it just feels like everyone came to the table with their element here, and they put together nicely, and we get on something like, okay, that's great, we can move ahead, and we keep getting ahead of ourselves even with the rain, so.
Absolutely, the rain. Andy, do you have any goals for this team?
Yeah,
this year?
I don't want to get to the end of the season and regret anything. I know we're not going to be perfect by the end of the year. I mean, nobody is. People can get close, but we're not going to be perfect. But I want to be the last week like, we're good. This is the best we could have gotten. There's nothing we should have changed that we didn't. What we did is right. The kids got as good as they could have got and have no regrets.
Yeah. I'm sure Tim will say the same, but for me personally, I think what's really important to me is that we just leave the crowd speechless. And it's something they remember for like ages to come, because I think the show has the potential to do that.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah, I do have to go backwards a little bit, because it's amazing to me to see what this is. You know, when we first got here in 13, it kind of felt like a ragtag group of people. You know, you were just starting out at your thing, you know, the design thing, and we were just kind of starting out at our thing, and you know, it was just like we were swinging at the fences almost, you know, just trying to make it work. And to see when I came back in 21, to see where we were at that moment, we literally had no brass. We literally had a percussion section. We had no brass. We had no color guard. We had nothing. And to see where we were then to where we are now, and to see that, you know, we have a drum major tech. I mean, we've never had that.
Yeah.
You know, we have a person, Travis is working with the drum majors and working with them and helping the ensemble be better. And, you know, just all the things that are happening is just amazing to me. And, you know, what I want to see is us to continue putting Troopers in a position to always be there. Because I truly believe that this team, and when I say team, Troopers, deserves their spot at the table every year. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't been there over the last 60 years. You know, before we got here, Troopers have been in finals 7 times, 8 times, something like that. And you don't think that. You like when you look at the Troopers, you think, oh, iconic brand. They used to be here all the time. They didn't. You know, if we can somehow get to Saturday night, I think we will. But if somehow we can get to Saturday night this year, it'll be the first time in 50 years exactly since Troopers has been in finals 4 times in a row.
It's pretty
And
exciting.
they've never done more than 4 at a time.
You were alive back then.
I was.
Yeah.
That was pretty true.
Yeah.
I could circle back. I guess something to echo what you're saying. We've talked a lot to the students this year about making sure that we get to the end of the summer and we know as a section we did everything we could to be as good as we could be. And I think all the off-season stuff mirrors that, because of what happened in the off-season, how quickly the show was finished and all the work everyone did. the ball is in their court now to take that and run with it, and I think they're doing that. I see them every night, and they're until midnight, until they're told they have to go to bed, just getting every inch that they can. And that's kind of what, as a section, we've been talking about is, you want to know that you did everything you could to be as great as you can, and everything will fall where it should from that.
Yeah, we tell them all the time, you are the next, you're the reason why it's going to be moving forward, and it's awesome to see them do that stuff.
Is like, how does this tie into the 4-part storyline? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask that specific question.
It doesn't really, like, this is all made up. It's
Well, I would say, like, I think the best analogy for me, and maybe I'm a dork, is to go to like the superhero movies. All the movies don't necessarily have to, like, a certain character have the same, like, literally linear line. This can be this adventure, and this is this adventure, and this is like, they can be kind of disconnected, but the energy and the character is connected. And I think that's what this is. And it's kind of saying that this is the final ride of that energy of, or that type of show in particular. And this is very different, I think, with a lot of the shaping and nuance that we do to the show, but it's a final story of that character, not necessarily a direct continuation of those shows.
Yeah, Goff and I, when we first got here, we sat down and we tried to come up with, how do we make this happen? Because, like I said, we had no brass, we had nothing, you know, all that kind of thing. And we're like, well, we just have to make them believe. So we came up with this idea of this universe, Trooper universe. And when I first got here, the only thing I wanted was the troopers to be badass. That was it. I used that word for everything I did. If we did it, was that badass? Well, if it's not, then we're not doing it. So that's kind of how it started. So the connection point was that, pretty much. And I think we've kind of achieved that. You know, as you look at the different stories, you have the oil show, you know, that's a different version of the troopers. It's still part of the universe. It's a different version, the same thing you're saying. You know, and then we have the harmonica show, a different part. You know, Sonny shows up, and that's kind of different. You know, and then we have the devil show, and you know, all of those things are, you know, they're things that would be part of that. You know, and so I think that you're absolutely right. It's literally a universe, and we could keep going on and on and on with it, but you know, maybe it does get a little old for people to see that, and we want to explore some different things. At the same time, I will say we will always be the troopers. You know, we will always move forward. As long as I'm here, we'll be the troopers, and we'll keep doing that. But it'll just be a little different. It'll, you know.
To compliment the team that's been here, because at some point, you know, I don't know why, but people kind of like made fun of the Western thing and the cowboy, and like, it's like, I don't know, if you look at media, like video games and movies and Hateful Eight and all this stuff, like, it's not dorky. It's cool. It's very popular. It's very successful, but it's how you brand it. It can be dorky, just like anything. You can do any kind of show and not do it the right way. And I can tell you for sure, this year, the Final Sunset thing, it's cool. Yeah. It's real cool. And there's no element of any of that.
Well, we are America's core.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that. They think we're a Western core, but in reality, we're America's core. We could be playing Copeland. We could be playing Bernstein. You know, whatever it is, we could be playing. It's American. We can do it. So I think that's what I want to explore moving forward, is how do we expand past this idea that we have to be a Western cowboy thing? Because I think there's way more out there for us than that.
Well, I also think that, like, coming into teaching, coming in last year to be with the troopers, I think one of the most exciting things for me was joining a team that has a specific identity, or just identity in general, because I think there are a lot of times these days where teams don't have an identity and aren't proud of it, don't carry it around. And I think it's been really exciting to see that unfold, and then also get to jump in the middle of it to conclude the story. But I am sure that the identity that troopers have will continue no matter what. You'll know they're troopers.
And there's value to that. I think people forget that too. Like, if you go see the Rolling Stones, you don't want to see them play like a Sousa march. You know what I mean? Like, like, there's value to that. And I think people forget about that.
I kind of do, actually.
Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But I think there's value in that. And it's, again, like, I think what's going to be cool about this show and then moving forward is we're going to be able to explore different interpretations of what that is.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited about the next chapter of what the troopers are, you know. And I hope everybody doesn't get scared that we're not going to be the troopers, because we're going to be the troopers. It's just we're going to explore different ideas. And I think that's great.
But it also started. I mean, really, the original, at least for the aesthetics, was the Ed Mel. That was the original
Yeah, we
intent.
didn't use that.
Well, we didn't use it, but like it kind of set us off on this idea of. I know at least for us, just talking about the show was about like looking over from like Casper Mountain and into the hills and stuff like that. So it started off with just
The set design,
set design. It started in
which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about the costume and the genesis, actually where it started was in 23. We had the white trooper, and we experimented with the white trooper. What does the original drum major costume look like when it's all white? And so we worked on that, and I think it was it Fruhoff that put it together, and it nobody liked it. So we put it out there and nobody really liked it. And so we were like, okay, that didn't hit as well. But the whole idea was what would it look like if we were white? And instead of blue or gray or black or dark colors. So that's the genesis of this costume. And then when we went to Molly and we talked to Molly about the set design and everything, we had a long conversation. It was me, you, and Molly talking about what I saw. And I said, well, I wanted us to look kind of white. I want us to still look like troopers, and I want it to be a cowboy for sure, and then I think that was kind of it. I said, you do you, and
we kind of build into that through the show.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense thematically, but it's also going to be really impactful when that full look's revealed, especially with the drill we're doing and the effects we're doing when we come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody takes the jacket off.
Yeah, everybody, a minute after the show, they throw their jacket somewhere.
Yeah.
But we're actually developing it into more costume as the show goes, which I think is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. The jacket's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I can't speak enough about the team. I mean, Molly has done an incredible job. I can't wait for people to see it. It's the biggest set I've ever seen in my life.
A lot.
It is a lot. And the beautiful part is we're not taxing the members for it.
Nope.
So we've built it in such a way.
A lot of time spent on how that was going to work.
Yeah. So it's really good. So as we end, what I'd like to do is we all stare at Chris.
Okay.
And that's how I want to end the interview.
Kids. It's too handsome.
right. Thank you.